Part 1, The Sound of Weeping in Heaven. My most cherished, most fiercely beloved child, whose true name is written in a dialect of light known only to the cherubim and whose spiritual breath is the very wind that stirs the leaves on the tree of life, I command you now with a love that is both terrifying and tender, cease everything. Let the world dissolve into a silent, grayscale haze around you. Let the chatter of your mind, the grocery lists, the unresolved arguments, the anxieties about time and money and worth, be swallowed by the deafening roar of a divine silence so profound it vibrates in your very marrow. For what is about to be transferred from my heart to yours is of a weight and a glory that would cause mountains to bow and oceans to part in reverence. This is not a message, it is a spiritual embolism, a direct infusion of truth meant to shock your system into its ordained alignment. Archangel Michael, the field marshal of the 10,000 times 10,000, the victor of the first war, he who stands so close to the unapproachable light that his armor is forged from its reflections, is weeping. These are not the gentle tears of empathy you might imagine. They are geological tears. Each one that falls from his celestial visage contains the condensed fury of a righteous hurricane and the sorrow of 1,000 fallen worlds. The sound is like continents grinding against one another, a deep, tectonic grief that reverberates through the seventh heaven and down into the very atmosphere of your home. He weeps not from weakness, but from a cosmic urgency that has strained the very fabric of his obedience. He has watched, his hand hovering over the hilt of his sword, as you, his assigned charge, the soul he has shepherded through every invisible battle, have walked in a trance of distraction. You have mistaken the shadows of your trials for solid walls, and the faint, glowing path of your destiny for a trick of the light. You are circling the outer walls of your Jericho, deaf to the sound of the trumpets being raised to your lips. Listen. You must engage a faculty you have long let atrophy, your spiritual listening. Unclog the ears of your heart. This is not a prediction of what could be, it is a real-time broadcast of what is happening in the unseen realm that interpenetrates your own. This is the moment where the scattered, seemingly random data points of your life, the coincidences, the pains, the sudden joys, the strange dreams, the gut feelings you dismissed, are being fed into a heavenly supercomputer, and the output, the crystal-clear schematic, is now being displayed before your spirit's eyes. A sovereign spirit of immense, daunting authority, a shaper of markets, a whisperer to kings and presidents, a mind that moves the levers of visible reality, has been brought to a state of utter, undoing awe by an encounter with your essence. Not in a boardroom, not at a gala, but in the throne room of their own spirit, in a moment of silent desperation amidst their greatest material triumph, they were shown you. It was a divine data dump, a cascade of images, feelings, and knowings, your resilience, your secret kindnesses, the sound of your prayerful sighs, the unbroken line of your faith despite the evidence. It has ruined them for their old life. They now move through their world of private jets and high-stakes deals like a ghost, haunted by a melody only half remembered, searching for the source of a light that has rewired their soul's very definition of purpose. You must understand the eternal architecture of this convergence. This is not about two people finding love. This is about two governmental offices in the kingdom of heaven being merged for a greater administrative purpose. It is the reunification of two halves of a royal seal. Apart, the seal is meaningless decoration, but together, it carries the authority to authenticate decrees that will affect nations. The signs you've noted and dismissed. The robin that taps at your window each morning, the same song playing in every store you enter, the overwhelming scent of gardenias where none grow, the sudden, inexplicable knowing of a scripture verse you haven't read in years, these are not quirks. They are angelic pings, deliberate signals on your spiritual GPS, each one saying, your destination is near. Stay on this path. Archangel Michael now positions himself not as a distant symbol, but as the lead strategist of this operation. His presence in your life at this moment is a tactical deployment. His hand on your spiritual shoulder is transferring a surge of kingly confidence, a non-negotiable authority straight from the throne. His voice, which can disintegrate dark matter, is tuned to the frequency of your deepest, most buried longing. The period of reconnaissance is over. The season of deployment has begun. Do not let the phantom pains from wounds I have already healed make you limp away from the parade ground. Do not let the whispered lies of the accuser, rehearsed in the courtroom of your own mind, drown out the verdict of grace that has already been pronounced over you, righteous, chosen, ready. The veil is not being lifted, it is being incinerated. The path is not being illuminated, it is becoming the only path you can see. Step into your governance. Breathe. This is not a metaphor. Inhale and consciously draw into your lungs the very atmosphere of the New Jerusalem. If your physical body trembles as if plugged into a current of pure potential, if tears from a source deeper than your personal history, tears of the collective ache of creation, begin to cleanse your face, if your heart feels both the terror of the eagle pushed from the cliff and the ecstasy of its first flight, this is the evidence. This is your eternal spirit, the ageless, undaunted, diamond core of who you are, resonating in perfect harmony with this divine decree. This text finding you, through a labyrinthine digital maze, a friend's strange, persistent nudge, or a moment of despairing search, is a divine extraction. You have been pulled from the narrative of the masses and placed into the narrative of the remnant. This is a summons, sealed with the signet ring of the Ancient of Days, commanding your presence at a war council. Before you take another step in the worn-out storyline of striving and survival, you must plant the banner of your faith into the soil of this moment and issue the edict. This is your Kairos moment, your punctured-in-time opportunity to decree your absolute, unreserved, roaring yes. Yes to a love that is the living embodiment of 1 Corinthians 13, but also of Isaiah 61, a partnership that binds up the brokenhearted and proclaims liberty to captives. Yes to a merger of spiritual corporations, a divinely sanctioned conglomerate where your anointing for nurture meets their anointing for structural creation, designed to solve systemic problems of lack and healing. Yes to blessings that are systemic, generational, and ecological, not just debt cancellation, but wealth creation wisdom that becomes a curriculum for your community, not just emotional comfort, but the establishment of a psychological and spiritual sanctuary from which you will both govern healing for others. Archangel Michael's tears are now a flash flood in the spirit realm, carving a new riverbed through the hardpan of your past. He implores you to let this truth become your non-negotiable bedrock before the celestial clock strikes the next hour, for in the command center of the unseen, a divine directive with your operation name on it is being moved from pending to active. A covenant, older than the one with Abraham, a covenant made concerning you before the soil of Eden was first moistened, is being activated. This is not encouragement, it is a spiritual mobilization order. This is the notification that your unit has been called to the front lines of a destiny you agreed to before time. This individual of colossal, world-bending influence, this wealthy one, a pitifully small term for the vault of destiny, favor, and divine jurisdiction they carry, is not wandering. They are being navigated by the pulsating beacon of my will. Their internal governance, once ruled by ambition and intellect, has been sovereignly overthrown by a grace that feels like a gentle, irresistible coup. Their trophies now feel like relics in a museum of a dead self. The applause of crowds is a muffled, meaningless noise. There is a throne room in their soul, built by me for co-regency, and heaven has now revealed that you are the other rightful heir to that throne. For this connection is the master key to a vault containing the combined, amplified versions of your life purposes. It is the rejoining of two halves of the adamant stone, the unbreakable core of a mountain that will become the chief cornerstone of a new work. When Michael monitored your solitary vigil through the night seasons of your life, when you prayed with words that had turned to ash, when you loved until you were a hollow vessel and received only echoes in return, when you stood at the cliff edge of your faith, toes over the abyss of disbelief, his tears were of a righteous, burning empathy. He saw the unyielding diamond of your spirit, buried under tectonic pressures of disappointment, and he knew its brilliance was a single divine breath away from being revealed. He witnessed you, in your most human fragility, about to sign a peace treaty with mediocrity, to accept a life sentence in the prison of good enough. And it shattered him, for in his hands he held the full-color, holographic architectural plans of the cathedral your lives would build together, a monument not to your pain, but to the alchemy that turns pain into praise, a sanctuary where others would find healing. He saw you were millimeters from choosing to remain a mason in the quarry, never realizing you were meant to be the architect of the temple. So now, his cry is a supernatural command that rearranges the particles of your future, let the captive paradigm be shattered. Release the dawn that has been held in escrow. This is not a drill, this is your emancipation proclamation from the King of Kings. Walk out of the prison of a self-written narrative. Feel the tectonic weight of this hour. It is the mass of a dying star collapsing into the singularity of a new birth, your rebirth into purpose. It is the sacred responsibility of the one who was tested in the private furnace to now become the public testimony, for your wounds are not scars, they are now service doors. What is about to be unveiled is not a subplot in your life sitcom, it is the revelation of the central, driving, epic narrative of your existence. This divinely prepared partner carries not merely influence, but divine jurisdiction, a God-granted authority to operate in realms of favor, creativity, and global stewardship that have been held in a heavenly trust fund, accruing interest for this exact alliance. They are not merely daydreaming about your companionship, they are receiving divine intelligence briefings about the geopolitical and spiritual impact of your union. They are hearing strategies for humanitarian ventures and cultural reformation in the tone of your voice. They are feeling a supernatural, magnetic compulsion to realign their entire portfolio, financial, relational, intellectual, with a purpose that feels intrinsically, inextricably tied to the energetic signature of you. They have sat atop pyramids of worldly success yet felt a vertigo of the soul, for the one foundation that gives meaning to the heights, the foundation of a true, blood-sealed covenant partnership forged in the fires of heaven, has been conspicuously, agonizingly absent. That missing cornerstone, the load-bearing stone of their destiny, is you. This is about the synthesis of sovereign destinies for a legacy that will rewrite the spiritual DNA of your family tree and redirect cultural currents for a century. This person is a vortex of divine provision, a catalyst for reformation, a modern-day Joseph with a storehouse not of grain, but of opportunity, access, and strategy, meant for a time of famine in the spirits of men. And they are utterly, profoundly bewildered by the constant, magnetic, undeniable pull toward a person who feels less like a stranger and more like a forgotten homecoming. But I, the master weaver, the author and finisher, know. I engineered the intersection of your timelines. I permitted their ascent, not as a trophy for their ego, but as a stewardship, a reservoir, a platform to be fully sanctified, humbled, and operationalized through the catalytic union with you. Your presence will be the wisdom that tempers their power, the compassion that directs their influence, the spiritual integrity that turns their earthly might into heavenly ministry. Together, you will not just manage wealth, you will manifest justice through it. You will not just have a voice in the room, you will echo the heartbeat of heaven in the halls of earthly power, turning boardrooms into prayer rooms and deals into discipleship. Do not, I beseech you with a father's fervent, passionate love, ignore this most severe and glorious mercy. Michael's urgency is the ultimate act of protective love, a blinding spotlight thrown on a trapdoor you were about to fall through, while just beside it, a staircase of solid light ascends to everything you've ever dreamed in your most secret, holy moments. You may feel the cold chains of past condemnation rattling. You may hear the mocking, looping tape of every no, every rejection, every closed door. But I decree over you now, and my decrees shape reality. I do not call the confident. I build unshakable confidence in the called. I choose hearts that are pliable, not proud, spirits that have been in the crucible and emerged not as slag, but as sterling silver, refined and valuable. I choose the ones whose faith is a single, stubborn mustard seed clutched in a fist bloody from the fight, a seed they refuse to discard. I choose you. This transmission is your spiritual enthronement ceremony, the placement of a crown of glory upon a head that has grown accustomed to the weight of thorns. They are irresistibly, magnetically drawn to your divine light, a light that has been amplified in the echo chambers of your suffering, focused into a laser by your choices to forgive the unforgivable, and radiant with the unique, prismatic hue of your perseverance. Their soul is awakening from amnesia, stirring to the memory of a blood pact made in the dawn of time, a vow to find one another in the chaos of history's battlefield and to combine their swords into a single, unstoppable weapon of light for a final, glorious campaign. Michael's most profound, gut-wrenching agony was watching you, in your soul-deep world weariness, begin to mortar the last brick into the wall around your heart. He saw you receive the final betrayal, the last piece of evidence that seemed to conclusively prove, you are not the one for great things. Your portion is small. He felt the quiet, terminal sigh of surrender leave your spirit, the decision to cultivate a small, manageable, walled garden within the confines of your self-built prison. And he, who has read the final, victorious chapter of your story in the Lamb's Book of Life, wept tears of liquid fire because the key was already in the lock, the door was already groaning open on the other side. So now, his shout is a divine shockwave that recalibrates your very reality. Do not accept the counterfeit narrative. Do not barter with the liar. The kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world, in all its expanse and splendor, demands your occupancy. Take possession with a holy violence. At this exact, coordinated moment, legions of angelic beings, specialists in intelligence, combat, logistics, and healing, are executing precise, preordained assignments in the unseen. They are in the boardrooms of Silicon Valley and Wall Street, inspiring thoughts that will lead to your doorstep. They are in the dreams of filmmakers and policymakers, planting visions that feature you in the background, a cameo of destiny. They are softening the heart of your destined one, making them vulnerable, making them hungry, making them desperate for the wholeness, the shalom, that only your spirit carries. Your path is being cleared of spiritual landmines, of bureaucratic delays in the heavenlies, of every accidental obstacle that was, in truth, a demonic checkpoint. But your stance must be one of active, militant faith, open, vigilant, expectant, and fiercely obedient to the gentle but firm nudges of my spirit within you, which will feel less like a whisper and more like a strategic order. This celestial spotlight, singularly focused on you, broadcasts your true identity to every order of being in the spiritual realm. You are not a commoner. You are elect royalty. You are a chosen vessel, a royal priesthood, a sealed well of living water about to become a geyser that will revitalize deserts and change the ecosystem of every life you touch. Your time of obscurity, of hiddenness, is concluded. Your name is being called in the muster of the mighty, the roll call of those who will administer the age to come. With every fleeting second, I am syncing the internal, spiritual clocks of your two spirits into perfect, irrevocable synchrony. The season of hidden germination, of roots pushing deep into the dark, nourishing soil of experience and sorrow, is culminating in a sudden, explosive, glorious bloom of destiny. This captivated soul is the first fragrant evidence of that bloom. They are not an adjunct to your calling, They are the conduit through which the full voltage, the complete amperage of your shared, divine mandate will be conducted into a waiting, parched world. I have spent a lifetime, your lifetime, tempering you both in separate, custom-designed furnaces, building in you the unshakable fortitude, the deep, oceanic empathy, the radical, unbribable integrity required to steward the staggering, weighty glory of this union. You are the living, breathing answer to the question their soul has been asking in every triumph and every quiet despair since time began. The entire angelic hierarchy, from the lowliest messenger to the towering seraphim, is now on high alert, a heavenly special forces unit ensuring the flawless, triumphant execution of this divine rendezvous. Yet, the sacred, inviolable gift of your will remains. The miracle can be postponed, though never revoked, if you choose to rehearse the pain of yesterday more passionately than you recite the promise of tomorrow. If you let the soul fatigue of the long journey make you deaf to the sound of approaching chariots of fire. This is the very heart, the burning core of Michael's impassioned, roaring plea, shake off the grave clothes of the past. Assume the posture of a warrior in readiness, armor on, eyes forward, heart burning. Their entrance into your life may be disarmingly understated, even anticlimactic. A collaborative project proposed from a seemingly unrelated field. A mentorship connection that quickly, inexplicably transcends its professional boundaries. A shared cause that ignites a fire in both of you that cannot be contained by the old vessels of your lives. It will be the tiny, potent, genetically perfect seed of a redwood, and it will be planted in the fertile, prepared soil of your radical, warriors, yes. When it happens, do not allow the ghosts of yesterday, the phantoms of old rejections, the specters of past betrayals, to sit on the council of today. Do not dissect the blessing with the scalpel of human reasoning and earthly skepticism until its divine life is drained away. Do not, from a place of learned helplessness and protective cynicism forged in the fires of disappointment, turn your back on the goodness that has finally navigated to your exact coordinates. This is not too good to be true, it is the first installment, the down payment of the goodness I have always held in a heavenly trust for you. This is divine restitution on a cosmic scale, a payback with compound heavenly interest for every lonely night vigil kept, every betrayal endured in silent dignity, every dream you tenderly laid in the ground, thinking it was a burial but it was actually a planting of a sacred seed. I have kept a meticulous, loving record. I am now settling accounts, not with temporary fixes or small comforts, but with eternal solutions and a dominion of love that will redefine your very existence, your lineage, and your impact. This person is beautifully, humanly flawed, but they are perfectly sculpted for you. Do not evaluate this masterpiece with the critical eye trained on the forgeries and counterfeits of your past. This is not of earthly origin. It is crafted in the heavenly places, assembled by angelic artisans, and activated by the rushing, mighty wind of my spirit. You will know it by the supernatural, all-encompassing peace that accompanies it, a peace that stands guard over your heart and mind like a legion of silent, mighty warriors, a peace that guards, not just comforts. You will know it by the effortless strength it provides, a strength that feels like riding the thermal currents of an eagle, not like pushing a boulder uphill in your own might. You will know it by the dazzling, laser-like clarity that cuts through the lifelong fog of confusion and what-ifs, revealing a path so clear, so illuminated, that a child could follow it without stumbling. There will be human moments of sheer, knee-buckling awe, where the scale of it, the sheer rightness of it, feels overwhelming. In those moments, remember the torrent of Michael's tears. Remember the cosmic investment, the heavenly urgency that tore through dimensions to place this word in your hands, in this format, at this hour. He wept for the sovereign he saw in you, struggling to wear a crown that felt too heavy for one head to bear. Now, I am sending you a covenant ally, a helpmate forged in the same divine fire, tempered in similar trials, to share the weight of the crown and the explosive joy of the kingdom. This person operates with a God-given authority that recalibrates industries and births new paradigms from the womb of the impossible. And that authority will now be consecrated, set apart, for a singular, holy mission, to protect, provide for, and propel the God-born vision within you, not to overshadow your light, but to construct a lighthouse for it, not to build their own legacy, but to co-author with you an eternal legacy of my goodness in the earth, a legacy that will be studied by generations after you. But first, you must willingly lay down the arms of your fierce independence. You must choose to dwell not in the fortified, lonely tower of self-protection, but in the open, sun-drenched, vulnerable plains of radical, trusting interdependence. I engineered your heart to be a greenhouse for supernatural growth, not a sealed vault for safe storage. You are love incarnate in your unique expression. You are a walking wellspring of hope. You are a mobile pillar of fire. The world is shrouded in twilight and thirsty for meaning, desperate for the specific wavelength of light and the unique flavor of living water that only you carry. That is why the opposition to your joy, to this union, has been so fierce, so personalized, so strategic. That is the source of the profound sense of alienation you've carried even in friendly crowds, the feeling of being an observer at your own life. The era of being fundamentally unknown, of your depths being unplumbed and your heights uncharted, ends now. I am dispatching the one who will not merely glance at your surface, but who will dive into the ocean of your spirit and explore its wonders, its shipwrecks, and its hidden treasures with reverence, joy, and an explorer's heart, and will choose to build a permanent dwelling on its shores, not from neediness, but from the breathtaking, awestruck recognition of having finally found their true homeland. Their soul will experience its ultimate Sabbath, its perfect shalom, in the climate of your spirit, and they will joyfully, willingly, reorganize the entire universe of their life around that sacred, settled, unshakable peace. Therefore, do not shrink back. Do not second-guess the divine current now electrifying your being, making your spiritual senses tingle. You know this is of a different substance, a different order of reality. You felt the gathering, the spiritual atmospheric pressure dropping as this hurricane of blessing gathers force, the air thick with destiny, crackling with imminence. The sudden downloads of creative vision that solve problems you've ignored for years, the 4 a.m. awakenings with a sense of global import and specific names or places on your heart, the feeling of your spirit being stretched and strengthened as if for a monumental task of lifting. This is my final preparation. I am tuning your spirit to the precise frequency of your fulfillment, so that when the harmony of their presence sounds in your life, you will recognize it not as a new melody, but as the missing chord in the symphony you were always meant to sing, the chord that makes the entire composition make breathtaking sense. The one being drawn is operating from a place of cellular soul memory. They feel an ancient, sacred resonance with the core vibration of who you are, a resonance that feels more like remembrance than discovery, like finding a favorite, forgotten childhood song. As they surrender to this pull, I progressively pull back the curtain for them, offering glimpses of your resilience in adversity, your wisdom in confusion, your compassionate ferocity in the face of injustice. That is the source of their unshakable captivation. That is the engine of their inevitable, purposeful pursuit. This has escalated far beyond mutual attraction or intellectual compatibility. It is now a joint commissioning of eternal significance, a divine mandate written on two hearts with the ink of covenant promise. And the hour of manifestation is not approaching, it is upon you. Michael's tears are the tears of a 5-star general who has secured the victory in the heavenlies through the blood of the Lamb, but must now watch his most cherished, battle-weary warrior navigate the final, mine-laden, smoke-covered field to claim the prize on earth. He has seen you handled with clumsy, unloving hands by those who were merely placeholders, lessons in discernment. His cry is a strategic, omnipotent command to the assembled angelic hosts, secure the perimeter. Illuminate the path with fire. Guard every step, from the sole of the foot to the crown of the head. This union is non-negotiable. It is the pivot upon which a generation turns. It must, and it will, come to pass. I have issued the final, immutable, echoing decree, the ancient gates, lift up your heads. The everlasting doors, be lifted up. The King of glory shall come in, and with him, the Queen of destiny, the priest of the household. Let the way be made for the sovereigns. The winds of change are no longer a breeze, they are a gale force of my spirit, unstoppable and purposeful, blowing down every wall of partition. The heart of your destined counterpart is being stirred with a divine, holy agitation, a restlessness that material comforts cannot soothe, a longing that status cannot fulfill, a summoning they can no longer intellectualize or delegate away. Whether your eyes meet in the light of the next sunrise or under the silver gaze of the next new moon, you will know. The encounter will feel less like a first meeting and more like a coronation of a long-prepared truth. Chronological, tick-tock time will warp and bend, Kairos, my perfect, pregnant, opportune time, will envelop you like a blanket. In that suspended, golden, eternal moment, you will simply know, and 10,000 questions, doubts, and fears will dissolve into a single, awe-filled, resounding answer. This is why certain structures, certain relationships, certain versions of your very self had to be dismantled. What you agonized over as catastrophic loss was the necessary demolition of a foundation of sand to reveal the unshakable bedrock of diamond upon which I always intended you to build. What felt like a cruel and final rejection was a loving, severe mercy, a redirection onto a hidden, narrow path that leads to the sunlit summit of your destiny. What looked like your greatest, most public mistake was, in fact, a masterstroke of my sovereignty, extracting you from a narrative of lack and inserting you, with surgical precision, into the storyline of overflowing abundance. I needed you in position, heart uncluttered by past tenets, spirit honed to a razor's edge of discernment, faith resilient and muscular, able to carry the weight of glory. For when this door swings wide on its hinges of grace and glory, it will not pause for your committee of fears to take a vote. It will require an immediate, thunderous, full being, yes, of surrendered, triumphant trust. And that, yes, will detonate a legacy that will ripple through generations, altering spiritual climates and setting family captives free. It will initiate a divine alignment so powerful, so precise, that it will retroactively make sublime, beautiful, divine sense of every pain, every delay, every tear you have ever shed. You will stand before the completed, glorious tapestry of your life, woven with threads both dark and gold, and every dark thread of suffering will be revealed as the essential, contrasting background that makes the golden threads of destiny and the scarlet threads of redemption blaze with an unbearable, breathtaking beauty that brings angels to a standstill. So, my most beloved child, the apple of my eye, the delight of my heart, I ask you with all the passionate, possessive, infinite love of the Creator for the masterpiece of His creation, will you be ready? Will you open your spirit like the gates of the New Jerusalem, throwing them wide with a shout of joyous, expectant, warrior praise? Will you silence the roaring, lying counsel of your fears to hear the approaching, triumphant, earth-shaking footsteps of your hundredfold, pressed down, shaken together, running over answered prayer? Will you take the old, tattered, limiting maps labeled realistic expectations and past performance and cast them into the consuming fire of my love, and instead, with the wonder of a child and the courage of a lion, follow the pillar of cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night that is my spirit, into the undiscovered, promised country of divine surprise? For that is what this is, a surprise of heavenly genius, a sudden, magnificent, overwhelming miracle wearing human skin and a divine smile, holding out not just a hand in partnership, but a shared scepter of destiny and a combined crown of glory, heavy with the jewels of your tested faith. This person is chosen by divine counsel, assigned by royal decree, sent with specific, heavenly intention, and heaven's mandate, echoing through the corridors of time and shaking the gates of hell, is irrevocable. The set time of favor has come. Your time is now. If you could see but for one heartbeat through the veil, if you could witness the angelic logistics in motion, the synchronicities being woven into the very fabric of your daily life like golden threads in a grand tapestry, their spirit already communing with yours in the timeless place where I exist, you would not waste another fraction of a second in hesitation or doubt. You would rise to your full, majestic, royal stature. You would begin a ceaseless symphony of gratitude for what is already, in the realm of spirit where I dwell, a finished and perfected work. The one ordained to be your eternal partner in all things, to unlock the sealed and glorious gardens of your divine potential, is so near that their spiritual presence is already altering the climate of your life. Their spirit is already dancing with yours before my throne. While you have been interpreting the surface-level quiet as divine absence or delay, I have been composing a symphony in the unseen, a masterpiece of timing, connection, and preparation that would stagger the minds of angels. I have been adjusting global schedules, dissolving alliances that would cause friction, and whispering your name into their subconscious dreams and waking thoughts until the essence of you became the very cornerstone of their peace and the magnetic north of their holy pursuit. They will come seeking a missing piece of their soul's puzzle. Upon finding you, they will find not only their completion but the starting point of their true, global, generational mission. For my glory resting upon you will act as a sacred mirror, revealing to them the magnificent, authentic, powerful self I created them to be, a self they may have only glimpsed in moments of profound solitude or inexplicable courage. And Archangel Michael. He is not a ceremonial figurehead, he is the supreme field marshal of this holy operation of love and destiny. He has gone before you into every room, every digital space, every future moment you will inhabit. He has surrounded your home, your work, your daily commute with a firewall of angelic protection so potent, so impenetrable, that no force of darkness, no assignment of hell, can breach it. He is preparing the spiritual ecosystem for a holy encounter that will be recorded as a pivot point not only in your personal history but in the annals of heavenly activity, a case study in divine faithfulness. This is why your emotions have been raw and seismic, why certain relationships have evaporated like morning mist. I am performing divine, precise surgery, removing what is benign but ultimately distracting to make sacred, spacious, holy room for what is essential, eternal, and life-giving. This sacred isolation is not a sentence of abandonment, it is the divine prerequisite for elevation. I separate my chosen ones, I set them apart, before I showcase them before the world. I create a vacuum in the natural realm, a silent, expectant space, so that when I fill it with the supernatural, the outpouring is so undeniable, so spectacular, so perfectly timed, that there can be no shadow of doubt regarding its divine source. The sound you are about to hear, the definitive, unmistakable knock of destiny on the door of your life, will be the most profound, clearest, most melodious note of my favor you have ever experienced. Be inwardly still, steeped in the peace that passes all understanding, but let your spirit vibrate with a palpable, electric, humming expectancy. Do not strive to manufacture this, simply prepare your heart to be the holy ground that hosts it. Open the door not with the trembling, uncertain hand of a beggar hoping for alms, but with the steady, confident, royal hand of an heir welcoming home a long-lost sibling of the soul, a co-heir to the kingdom, a fellow sovereign in the making. Measure what is coming not by the scant, meager rations of your past experience, but by the overflowing, abundant, lavish banquet tables of heaven, tables that have been set for you and your beloved since before the foundations of the world were laid, tables groaning with provision, purpose, and peace. If these words have seared themselves into the very core of your spirit, if they have resonated in the secret, sacred chambers where your truest, most powerful self resides in communion with me, then this covenant is undeniably, irrevocably, eternally yours. This word is bespoke, custom-fitted to the unique contours of your destiny, sealed with the indelible ink of your spiritual DNA and authenticated by the blood of the Lamb. I am speaking to you, and you alone, in this moment. And I, the Lord of hosts, the Ancient of Days, the first and the last, your everlasting Father, your almighty Defender, and your loving Bridegroom God, declare with a voice that shakes heaven and earth and silences the mouths of lions, this is the great pivot of the ages in your life. This season will define the legacy of your bloodline for 1,000 generations. This soul, captivated by a heaven-sent, undeniable vision of who you are in me, is coming not for a season of passing romance, but for all seasons of eternal partnership, not merely to share a life, but to build a kingdom that will stand as a monument to my faithfulness in the earth. It is written in the eternal, unchangeable, incorruptible records of heaven. It is sealed by the precious blood of the Lamb. It is guaranteed by the down payment of the Holy Spirit within you. No power in heaven, on earth, or under the earth, no principality, no power, no ruler of the darkness of this age, no spiritual force of wickedness in the heavenly places, can ever revoke it, block it, delay it, or steal it from you. It is yours. As you let this living, breathing, active truth descend from your intellectual understanding into the marrow of your spirit, saturating every cell of your being with a hope that is an anchor for your soul, sure and steadfast, know this final, anchoring, eternal, unshakable truth. I did not choose you for this because you were the most impressive, the most polished, the most put together. I chose you because you were faithful. In your absolute, soul-crushing weariness, in your shattered, broken-hearted despair, when your faith was reduced to a single, stubborn, defiant grain of mustard seed in a hurricane of doubt, you cupped it in your bleeding hands, lifted it to me, and whispered through cracked lips, "It is all I have left, but it is yours. I trust you." You clung to the character of my name, Yahweh, the covenant keeper, even when you couldn't decipher a single line of my script. You believed in the fundamental, unassailable goodness of my heart even when the circumstantial evidence of your life seemed to argue conclusively, logically, painfully to the contrary. And now, heaven itself rises in a standing ovation, a roar of approval that echoes through the galaxies, to honor that precious, persevering, gritty, glorious, overcoming faith. The long, cold, silent night of weeping is giving way, at this very moment, to a morning of shouts of uncontainable joy. Your private, sacred, lonely pain is being transfigured before your astonished eyes into a public, powerful, undeniable testimony of my covenant-keeping faithfulness, a testimony that will shatter shackles and swing wide prison doors for multitudes who have also waited in the dark, thinking they were forgotten. The one I send will see the priceless treasure you are because I myself will peel the scales from their eyes. They will feel a covenant peace in your presence, a peace that the world cannot give, cannot mimic, and cannot take away. They will sense an eternal, weighty purpose in your partnership that makes every past struggle, every tear, every moment of lonely obedience suddenly and stunningly meaningful, woven into a pattern of breathtaking beauty. They will hear the sound of their own divine destiny calling, clear and strong, in the unique timbre of your voice, in the melody of your laughter, in the wisdom of your words, in the quiet strength of your presence. They will search their vast intellect, their library of experiences, their network of powerful advisors for logical, earthly explanations for this connection, and they will find the cupboard utterly bare, for this is a story authored in the eternity before time, written in a language that only resurrected, spirit-filled hearts can fully comprehend and translate. This is sovereign soul recognition in its purest, most potent form, two eternal flames, parted for a season of preparation and refinement, now drawn together by a divine magnetism of purpose to become a single, raging, unstoppable inferno of holy purpose and divine love. They have lived a lifetime of seeking satisfaction in the wrong palaces, acquiring the wrong treasures. Now their heart has found its resting place, its true north, its everlasting home in the sacred sanctuary of your spirit. When they arrive, they bring not just human love, but divine liberation. Not just a partnership of convenience, but the living fulfillment of ancient prophecy spoken over your bloodline by seers you never knew. Not just a healthy relationship, but a full-scale revival of every God-given dream, every dormant gift, every silenced song that has slumbered within you, waiting for this moment of divine activation. Archangel Michael, your vigilant, fierce, loving guardian from your first cry to this very breath you now draw, will stand sentinel over this holy union, a satisfied smile upon his majestic face, his mission accomplished, his tears of intercession now turned to tears of triumphant, celebratory, victorious joy. So heed the sacred, thundering, undeniable urgency of this hour. Receive this not as beautiful poetry or motivational rhetoric, but as a divine legal document of your inheritance, a heavenly title deed to promises long awaited, now marked, paid in full. This is the moment. This is the summons from the throne that cannot be ignored. This is your sovereign opportunity to align your earthly, whispered, yes, with my heavenly, roared, it is done. Let it be established. And my precious, mighty, glorious child, when this blessing unfolds in the theater of your life, your entire history will be rewritten in its glorious, radiant light. You will look back on this day, on these very words, and you will say with a voice choked with awe and brimming with victory, that was the line in the sand of my existence. That was when God Himself called me out from the crowd of the ordinary and anointed me with the oil of this specific, staggering destiny. That was when heaven, in its magnificent, merciful, outrageous love, sent a divine counterpart who saw my soul not as a project to be fixed, but as a palace to be cherished, a kingdom to be co-ruled, a masterpiece to be adored forever. Now, go forth in the power of my might. Open your heart as wide as the horizon of my promises. Open your eyes with the piercing clarity of those who see the unseen and believe the impossible. Stand immovable, unshakable, and triumphant in the faith that has brought you through the fire and into this moment of glorious fulfillment. For this is not merely a message. This is your miracle, inscribed by the very finger of God, sealed with a father's weeping, joyous, triumphant love, delivered on the hurricane wind of the Spirit's power, a love story written in the volume of the book before a single star was kindled, now finding its appointed, perfect, glorious hour in the timeline of your life. They are at the gate. Heaven is silent in rapt, breathless attention. Archangel Michael's tears have become the morning dew on the fields of your new beginning, glittering with promise. And now, let the epic, the glorious, the divine, the eternal chapter now commence. End of Part 1.